Let's jump in. Fact number 1. Why a bald eagle represents America. For centuries, kings and empires across Europe used the same image on their flags and coats of arms. An eagle with its wings spread wide open, a pose heralds call displayed. That posture was meant to represent a protector, standing guard with its wings thrown open in a show of strength. When the young United States needed its own national symbol, it reached for that same old idea, but it wanted a bird that was unmistakably American. The bald eagle got the nod for one simple reason. It exists nowhere else on Earth except North America. No other continent has one. So in 1782, the bald eagle landed on the Great Seal of the United States, wings displayed, drawn in almost exactly the same pose European monarchies had been using for hundreds of years. Here's the part that surprises people. For the next 242 years, that eagle stood in for the country everywhere. On money, on military uniforms, behind the president at every press conference. Everyone assumed it was already the official national bird. It wasn't. Nobody had ever actually passed a law making it official. That gap sat there completely unnoticed for generations, until a historian researching a book about eagles stumbled onto it and spent years lobbying Congress to fix the oversight. In December of 2024, then-President Biden signed the bill that finally made the bald eagle America's national bird on paper, not just in spirit. So the eagle you've been looking at your entire life, on the dollar bill, on the quarter, on the presidential seal, was our national symbol the whole time. It just never had the actual title to prove it until now. Fact number 2. Bald eagles aren't always giant birds with huge nests. Bald eagles have a reputation for building enormous nests, and in some cases, that reputation undersells it. The largest bald eagle nest ever recorded was found in St. Petersburg, Florida. It measured 9.5 feet across and nearly 20 feet deep, and it was estimated to weigh more than 2 tons, heavier than a car, built entirely out of sticks by a single pair of birds working on it season after season for years. But most bald eagles never come anywhere close to that. Plenty of nests are modest enough to fit right on top of a utility pole, and the eagles using them are perfectly normal-sized birds that have simply found a tall, sturdy, open spot to call home. I actually got to watch one of these pole nests myself. It sat near the first house I rented after I moved to Florida, right at the top of a utility pole across the street from me. And I spent that first year watching that pair raise their young right in the middle of an ordinary neighborhood, going about their business like nothing about it was unusual at all. Nests like that put eagles on a collision course with power companies. Utility companies have argued for years that these nests can damage or weaken the poles underneath them, and that they should be allowed to remove them. But in Florida, public demand for keeping those nests exactly where they are turned out to be strong enough that state lawmakers stepped in. They passed protections that override the utility company's objections. So legally, at least in Florida, the eagles win. Their pole-top homes get to stay. Fact 3. Eagles don't just eat fish. Most people picture a bald eagle snatching a fish straight out of a lake, and for a lot of the population, that image holds up. But plenty of bald eagles live in places without good fishing water nearby, and those birds hunt an entirely different menu. Eagles in drier areas regularly go after rabbits, squirrels, raccoons, muskrats, and prairie dogs. They'll chase down ducks, geese, and other waterfowl in the air. Turtles, snakes, and frogs all end up on the list too, and eagles have even been seen dropping turtles from high up to crack the shells open on rocks below. Bald eagles aren't above stealing either. They're big and strong enough to bully smaller birds of prey, like ospreys, into dropping a fish they just worked hard to catch. The eagle simply swoops in and takes it, and roadkill is absolutely fair game too. A dead raccoon or deer carcass on the side of the highway is an easy meal, and eagles will take it without a second thought. This is especially true in winter, when chasing down live prey burns more energy than it's worth. So the elegant picture of an eagle plucking a fish cleanly from the water is only part of the story. A lot of bald eagles are opportunists first, and fishermen second. Fact number 4. Eagles used to be hunted. According to Smithsonian Magazine, the bird now protected as our national symbol was once actively hunted. During the early 20th century, bald eagles were shot in large numbers so their feathers could be sold and used decoratively in everything from hats to home decor. That kind of pressure, sustained over decades, pushed their population steadily downward, year after year, with almost nothing standing in the way. It took until 1940 for Congress to finally step in and pass the Bald Eagle Protection Act. This made it illegal to shoot, poison, or otherwise harm the birds. That law helped slow the decline, and for a while, it looked like the worst was over. It's a strange thing to picture now. An animal stamped onto our currency, flown on military insignia, and printed on official government seals, was once legally shot for the value of its feathers. The 1940 law came just in time to keep the species from disappearing outright. But it wasn't the last threat bald eagles would face. An even bigger one was already on its way, and we'll get to that one a little later in this video. Fact number 5. The calls made in movies with bald eagles aren't really eagle sounds. Here's a fact that surprises almost everyone the first time they hear it. That sharp, echoing screech you hear every time a bald eagle appears on screen in a movie or a nature documentary isn't actually made by a bald eagle at all. According to Smithsonian Magazine, that dramatic cry is dubbed in after the fact by Hollywood sound engineers, and the sound they're actually using is the call of a red-tailed hawk. So what does a real bald eagle sound like? Nothing like that. Its actual call is a high, thin, almost chirpy squawk, closer to what you'd expect from a seagull circling a beach than from one of the most feared birds of prey in North America. It isn't intimidating in the slightest. Filmmakers realized decades ago that the eagle's real voice didn't match its powerful reputation, so they simply borrowed a scarier sound from a completely different bird, and audiences never noticed. Next time you watch footage of a bald eagle gliding over a river, try muting the sound in your head and imagining that thin, seagull-like chirp instead. It's a strange mismatch between how the bird looks and how the bird actually sounds. Once you know it, you can't unhear it. The image on your screen right now is on a mug in the store. The link is in the description below. Fact number 6. Bald eagles don't start out with white heads. Bald eagles don't hatch out looking like the bird stamped on the back of a quarter. Young eagles start life completely brown, head to tail, without a single white feather anywhere on their bodies. That dark brown coloring sticks around for years, slowly changing through a series of molts. According to Smithsonian Magazine, it isn't until a bald eagle is about 5 years old that its head and tail feathers finally turn fully white, marking full adulthood. Along the way, its eyes lighten from dark brown to pale yellow, and its beak shifts from a dull blackish gray to the bright yellow most people associate with the species. Because of this long, slow transformation, young bald eagles get mistaken constantly for golden eagles or other large birds of prey. Someone spots a huge, dark brown raptor overhead and assumes it must be some other species entirely, when it's actually just a bald eagle that hasn't grown into its signature look yet. Give it enough time, though, and that same bird ends up looking exactly like the one on the Great Seal. Fact number 7. The DDT threat. The single biggest threat bald eagles ever faced wasn't a hunter's gun. It was a chemical. The pesticide DDT was widely sprayed across the country in the middle of the 20th century to control mosquitoes and other insects. Rain washed the chemical into lakes and rivers, where it was absorbed by aquatic plants and fish, the exact same fish bald eagles depend on for food. Once inside an eagle's body, DDT interfered with its ability to produce strong eggshells. Shells came out so thin that they collapsed under the simple weight of a parent bird sitting down to incubate them. Fewer and fewer chicks survived each year. By 1963, only 417 nesting pairs of bald eagles were known to exist in the entire country, a staggering collapse for a species that once ranged across nearly all of it. Once scientists finally traced the cause back to DDT, the chemical was banned, and the species slowly began to recover. Today, thanks to that ban and decades of legal protection, bald eagles are thriving again in places where they hadn't been seen in over 100 years, proof that a species pushed to the edge can still come all the way back. That's all for now. Subscribe to see more. This image is also up on a mug in the shop. The link's down in the description.